Welcome to the assembly video of your new Dutch bicycle. Please take a look at the overview of the individual parts and the necessary tools. Please pause the video if necessary. This is the bike as it comes out of the box. Please make sure the cables aren't bent too much and you don't scratch the handlebars when you put them on the ground. Let's start with the installation of the handlebars. Please make sure there are no kinks in the cables and that the fork is facing forward as shown here. There should be no electrical wires in front of the fork or the head tube. The stem should be inserted into the head tube at least to the minimum insertion point. The fender stay should be installed on the fender first with a washer and a nut on each stud. The fender itself is installed with the fender bracket against the rear of the fork. The bolt goes into the front. Next comes a washer. Then, if you have a double leg kickstand, the bracket for the front wheel stabilizer. Then another washer and lastly the cap nut. Please make sure that the black electric wire that comes from the Dynamo hub, if you have one, goes over the fender in front of the bracket, so slightly under the fork. Any excess wire can be pushed up into the fork tube. Now we can fasten the fender stay to the fork. If needed, the fender stay can be adjusted after the front wheel is installed. When you install the front wheel, it's important to guide the brake arm into the bracket on the fork and to make sure the wheel axle is all the way up into the fork end before you tighten the nuts. The front brake cable goes on the inside of the fender stay. Then, insert the fixing nut into the opening on the underside of the brake. Now guide the cable along the groove to the rear and insert the holder unit into the bracket. This requires a bit of force. And the final part is to straighten the cable. Now we connect the Dynamo hub wire. The contacts are located on the right side of the front wheel hub. The connector simply clicks on. Now we can install the front wheel stabilizer. This only applies to bikes with a double leg kickstand. The first part needs to be assembled like this. But in many cases, the short bolt is already installed into the frame. In that case, you only need to insert and fasten the long bolt. Please don't install the spring too tightly, because you don't want it to interfere with steering when you're riding. The stabilizer is only there to keep the front wheel facing forward when the bike is parked. Now we can install the seat and the seat post. The seat post needs to be greased before it's installed. And it's important that it's at least inserted up to the minimum insertion point. Please check the booklet that came with the bike to determine the height of the seat. left pedal tightens counterclockwise to prevent it from loosening while riding. The right pedal is installed by turning it clockwise, like any other bolt. In case you have a front rack, the front light is installed on the bracket on the left side of the fork as shown here. There are 1 or 2 sets of wires depending on whether the rear light is connected to the Dynamo hub. Each set of wires contains a black and a black and white wire. The bare wires are inserted into the holes in the connectors, so they're in contact with the terminals on the light. You can turn the front wheel to check if you've connected everything correctly. Please make sure to aim the light to the road so it doesn't blind anyone. The cables should be guided between the arms of the front rack. The arms of the front rack can be pushed all the way down into the tubes, but please make sure there is room for the cables. Lastly, the bell is installed like this. On the left side of the handlebars. And that's it! You're all ready to go. Thank you for watching and enjoy your bike!